secrets are you hiding in that murderous mind of yours? Valdo had some ingenious designs hidden in his memories. Observe! Light of salvation! Great blast needs me! Darkness surrounds us! Valdo's designs were flawed. Feel the pull of the void! I will crush her away! Sin surrounds you! Be no more! Turn away, sin! Sin surrounds you! What? Why? This one is my own. Great blast needs me! Light of salvation! Repent! Darkness surrounds us! Yes, be! Obliterate sin! Repent! Ah, let's go where that came from. Face your destruction! Sin surrounds you! Burn away, sin! Feel the pull of the void! I will crush. Turn away, sin! Faith is ours! Belief overwhelmed! Lightning flame! Lightning flame! Burn away, sin! Faith empowers! Belief overwhelmed! Lightning flame! Burn away, sin! No! Impossible! How?
Hey guys, Dan752 here, back with the showcase and the build guide of the video. This is gonna be the last one for PoE 1 for a while, because I'm gonna be playing PoE 2, right? But I just wanted to finish up with this build because it's really fun, and yeah. Let's get on with the build. By the way, I'm gonna be playing Monk, martial artist. I'm gonna make a video about it as soon as possible, right? Ideally, I want to be dishing out videos, you know, as I'm leveling, so you guys are getting videos on how it's going. Probably a bunch of people's gonna be interested. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna be playing. Hopefully, Phase Breakers. Okay, on with the build. So, Convoking Wand. This is something that I've crafted, and it's quite easily crafted actually. What you just need is a Fractured modifier, this increased area of effect. By the way, if you don't want to bother with this, you can just use this weapon. So this one is absolutely freaking fine. You know, just take this one with the implicit corrupted with cast speed. Very good. You know, even if you have some sort of source for blind, you're going to be applying malediction. You can, for example, get the golems, because we're using golems, right? On one of the golems, just make sure that you have imbued blind, right? I have imbued feeding frenzy, so, you know, and I'm not using the scepter, so I don't need the blind. But yeah, if you want to use the scepter, maybe get imbued on the golems. Blind, it's going to be super cheap, by the way. This is the cheapest method for all of it. My method is quite a bit more expensive, right? So if you want the cheaper method, use this. But yeah, if you want to craft this, you need the fracture modifier, means having increased area effect. Doesn't matter which roll, basically. I found the perfect one. It was fairly cheap. What you do, you spam the wand with either fossils that are going to give you gems, gem modifiers, or minion modifiers until you hit plus level to all minion skill gems. You can also use chaos orbs. You know, you can just spam it until you hit minion skill gems. You want to have the other prefix open, right? Because at the end you're going to be crafting this modifier. But yeah, so you have the prefix that's fractured, the minion skill gems, and then what you do is hopefully you also have a suffix open, because then you want to craft prefixes can be chained. That locks the prefixes, so you have the minion skill gems and the area of effect with one empty, right? And then as the prefixes can be changed, you go to the station, critical, and you slam this on top of it, and then you hope that you get a good modifier on the crit strike multi. I got lucky, I got a tier 1. Crit strike multi on minions is very good with this build. So you spam until you hit this and some good suffixes, right? Ideally, you want to hit it when all of the other suffixes are empty. I got lucky and I got the cast speed, but it would be even better if I didn't roll this and if I didn't get the minions increased attack and cast speed, because we don't need these modifiers. It would be ideal if it was just a critical strike multiplier, and then what you do, you just go on the crafting bench and you craft this. Can have up to 3 captain modifiers, right? So you just craft this on the wand. That's another suffix. So you have 2 suffixes, you have 2 prefixes, right? And then you have 1 open suffix, 1 open prefix. You just craft this one. This one is a prefix. Minions have increased max life and damage. It's a hybrid. And then for the suffix, you're just gonna craft cast speed, right, on the ranged weapon, cast speed. And as you can see, it's gonna be even larger than most likely the things that you roll. But, you know, I rolled this, so I just kept it as is. Crafted this prefix, and that was it. But yeah, fairly easy craft on the wand. Okay, rest of the gear, Archdemon Crown. This one was the one that I used in the previous build, so I just reused it here. What you need here is the +2 level of all minion skill gems. That's the primary thing. Hopefully some resistances as well. Everything else is just gravy. That's for the helmet. For the shield, +1 to level of minion skill gems. That's also, I think, the one that I crafted. Not sure which essence I used. Yeah, the essence of fear for the minion life, and then ideally you get some other good stuff. Additional fist damage reduction is very good. You know, PDR is good because we're also using endurance charges, as you can see, so it all accumulates stacks. Quite a bit of block, maximum life. You know, just a bunch of defenses alongside this. This one mandatory in the build. Tebukai. This is how you make your SRS explode, right? So we're using the Summon Raging Spirit of Enormity, and because we have this amulet, they pop and trigger minion instability. That's how the build works, basically. You don't need any other source. As you can see, Infernal Legion is here, and they still explode. The only downside is, as you can see, it takes quite a while for them to explode. So when you're mapping, you want to do this. You know, you swap Concentrated Effect with the Infernal Legion and Annihilation with Empower. So yeah, this is basically a 4-link with just a lot of utility, and as you can see, they explode quite fast, and then you can map quite easily, and it's gonna be fun because it's Annihilation. Everything's gonna pop. But yeah, this is basically what triggers the explosions when you're not using the Infernal Legion. I got a good implicit corruption, you know, doesn't need to be, of course. You can get the all Eli res from Alira. That's the easiest way to do it. Plus, you don't actually need it. As you can see, I'm quite a bit overcapped, so the implicit can just be the normal one. No worries about that. Try to roll the modifiers. Minions have minus chaos resistance. That's important. The less they have, the better. And you want to apply the physical and chaos damage modifier catalysts on this, because it increases how much the damage raging spirit some raging spirits take, right? So as you can see, it's 20%, but this modifier increases it to 23%. It can be actually 24. So yeah, allocate Soul of Steel. That's the best one. Okay, we have 3 rings, as you can see, because that's the ascendancy that we're using. As you can see, I'm not using the utility flasks. We're using the ascendancy. This guy, unseen hand +1 ring slot, unaffected by poison, but utility flasks are disabled. It's absolutely fine. Why this is also good, because we're also using the Screams of Desiccated. I think I read that correctly. Gives a bunch of chaos res, life, everything that we need, and resistance shrine buff. This one is quite cheap. It was like 3 divines late game in the league here, so yeah, really not a lot. You just want this. Why? Because it caps all of our resistances. Let's look at this. Chaos, all of the other resistances. So it takes care of our elemental damage problems. Another way that we are also reducing the elemental damage taken is Bastion of Elements, so you really do not need to worry about spells or anything elemental hitting you ever. Even the chaos is going to be like, whatever. Damage is also not lacking, because we're just stacking a shit ton of levels. So as you can see, this is the bossing setup. Let's place it like this. And where's the gem? Here, level 29. From the chess piece, also just one simple corruption. Didn't go too crazy with it. Rigorous Hunt. Why? Because all of the applications to minion life also apply to you at 15% value. Why this is good for this build is because we're using a lot of minion percentage life. Here, for example, minions have increased max life, max life, max life. You know, all of the other modifiers here on the tree that you can find, max life, max life. Another cluster, max life, blah, blah, blah. You get the picture. You're getting a lot of minion max life, which also applies to you consecutively with because of this, right? And another thing that's good here is minions have 1% chance to deal double damage per fortification. Of course, we have 10 fortification because we're using Animated Guardian. We're using some good specters as well. We're using the construct that applies 100% increased minion damage to all constructs. Raging spirits are constructs, so that's good. The other specters are Pale Seraphim, 2 of them, so it applies the increased damage taken to enemies, and the Perfect Warlord for permanent uptime on endurance charges. You can see we currently have Vitality and Endurance because of that guy. So that's another PDR, a little bit of PDR here, and then the rest of it is just a bunch of armor because we're also using Determination somewhere here. Here, right? So these are the 3 ores that we're using: Determination, Summon Skitterbots, and Flesh and Stone. You don't need Enlighten, you don't need many of the reservation nodes, you just need this one for reservation efficiency, and then you can use all 3 of these auras, easy peasy, you know. In the helmet we have the Respecters, Fire Support, Animate Guardian, Heat Shield. Fire Support, why? Because, make sure it's level 3, because the Archdemon Crown is going to reduce it to level 1. But why we use this, because cover enemies in Ash on hit, right? So every time your Animated Guardian or whatchamacallit, Specters hit the enemies, they have a chance to trigger this fire, and then they apply Ash on them. And then consecutively your SRS deal more damage, right? The reason why 3 rings is good on this build, because I initially wanted a build that would do Blight good. And this one is like the ideal build for Blight, as you can scale your damage so high. Instead of these Screams of the Desiccated, if you want to like completely go into Blight, you just go with Darkness Enthroned, right? So you don't need the defenses, as much defenses, because you're going to be using towers mostly. But you want to be dealing as much damage as possible. Get the Darkness Enthroned, the modifier as high as possible, and then you just get the minions have increased life, increase damage if you've used the minion skill recently. You can even get a bunch of life and armor here for some defenses. Why not? The second one would be the same, and then you're getting a shit ton of damage from your build. So this is like the damage option, and this is like pure defense. But this is excellent defense, right? And it goes hand in hand because you're not going to be using flasks, right? Even with this one, you wouldn't be using flasks, right? But this one kind of like fits it a little bit better. But yeah, either way, this is also very nice when you have something like this, because you can do bosses quite easily. You always have something to recover with, and then this minor Pantheon node becomes so good because you're just restoring your life flask charges while you're not using them constantly, and you have like 5 of them. So it's such good value from just this silly little small Pantheon. Very good, very good. And it also has a nice utility that they cannot regenerate when you hit them. But okay, let's move on. Why is it good for Blight, right? Because it has a shit ton of metric ton of damage, but it also can have 3 rings, which means you can anoint 3 rings for the Blight. So my Meteor Towers stun, my Meteor Towers create Burning Ground, which is excellent for bosses, so I'm doing the Titanic strategy, and I'm making bank from that. And then Chilling Towers perma-freeze, right? So that's the ideal strat. I mean, instead of this Meteor Towers can stun, you can go for the, the Buffing Tower has 25% increased effect, that's also fine, but I think this is better, because sometimes they're immune to freeze, and then you just want to spam the Meteor Towers so they can stun, just so you can lock the bosses in place. That's it. So you either lock them with this, or with this, but it's also dealing damage. Okay, that's the chess piece. Links in the chess piece is SRS of Enormity, right? Imbued with Elemental Focus if you can. It's fairly cheap. Minion life, of course. Critical damage, because minion Summon Raging Spirit of Enormity always crits. So this is crazy, in my opinion. They always freaking crit. It's super crazy. And then you just get critical damage. And that's why we're getting the critical multiplier here as well. And on the 3 as well. By the way, the Kingmaker on the Animated Guardian also gives critical damage to minions. So everything just fell into place very nicely. Greater Unleash, of course, so you can easily grab it. So this is... You're not going to be swapping this out, right? Because it's a max number of 6. You can only have 6 of them. But if you have Greater Unleash, it goes up to 6, Because if it says 5, the first one is free, right? And the rest of the 5 generates 6 of them. It's amazing. Perfect support, right? And of course you need this for the extra number of seals. Okay. Critical damage, of course, Empower, and then Concentrated Effect. For mapping, you go with Infernal Legion, so they pop faster, and Annihilation, so everything pops alongside them. So you're going to be clearing really nicely. I mean, you've seen the video. So yeah, that's the idea. Ray Spectres I talked about, Auras I talked about. Here we have the Golems, Stone Golem, Lightning Golem, and Golem of Safeguarding, so this is just another layer of defense. Ideally, with this setup, with this wand, you want to have Feeding Frenzy, because it just buffs the damage of your minions and the movement speed of the minions. If you use the Scepter, then go for Blind instead. It's going to be much, much cheaper, and you don't need to worry about crafting this one. I'm telling you, like, that's the cheapest setup, and it's basically the same. Like, it's basically the same. I don't know even why I went with this. I wanted to min-max. That's why I went for it. But the difference is minimal. The only thing I'm getting here, the extra, is the area of effect. The damage is probably the same, right? Damage is probably the same. Plus, you're getting the benefit because the other Scepter has the spells. It's not minions. So it also affects your auras, it affects your, I don't know, Frostbling, cooldown recovery. Okay, not cooldown recovery, it's just skill gems, right? But it increases the rest of it. The automation, I guess. Molten Shell. It has some additional benefit. But okay, I digress. The rings, as you can see, I went for some synthesis shenanigans here. Absolutely, you don't need the flammability here. You don't need the flammability. I got it, I was lucky. But honestly, if I could just keep the, whatchamacallit, minions have increased daily res, I would have probably kept it, because you're applying the aura anyway. You want a stronger effect. It's like double the effect if you cast it. If you cast it, it's double the effect. So yeah. on hit does nothing. But yeah, the rings need to have attributes, life, minion damage, minion speed, all the good stuff. As you can see, non-chilling skills have minus mana cost on all of them, because this does consume quite a bit of mana. Even though we're using Eldritch Battery, if you constantly cast this for maximum DPS output, as you can see, it's actually losing mana, right? But you're not going to be doing that, right? You're fighting a boss, you cast, you move, you cast, right? So you don't really care. And that's how you map as well, because you kind of wait for the seals and then go. So, not necessary, but yeah. Minus mana cost is ideal. I wanted to get on the implicit, also reduced mana cost, but I gave up halfway. So yeah, as you can see, all of the rings are kind of the same. Attributes, life, and damage, and minion life. Okay, that's that. The gloves. So here we have Frostblink, Cooldown Recovery, Hexbloom, and Flammability. Doesn't matter if it's all linked or not, but Flammability with Hexbloom is good because on mapping it's very nice that the curse spreads. Cooldown Recovery for Frostblink, because this is basically your movement, right? So you're constantly moving like this. So as you can see, it's quite fast, even without the minions. But if you hit a minion, you can just teleport instantly. But it's very good for movement because we're not using a utility flask for movement. So you need to have something like this. That's very good. That's how we do it. I have the increased area of effect here imbued. This also applies to the Hex. So it's very nice. Because the Frostblink, you want the larger AoE, so you hit more monsters so you can blink faster. And then AoE is also good for flammability, well, because of obvious reasons. That's what we do here. The gloves themselves inflict fire explosion on hit. Minion damage, some attributes again, armor, energy, shield, and some resistances. As you can see, all of my pieces are armor, energy, shield, armor, energy, shield, energy, shield. Why? Because we want the this one. Increased 100% increased armor. If all of our items are armor, energy, shield, this doubles the armor on this one, which is very nice. It goes up to 3k. Quite a nice boost. When you blink on somebody, you of course apply the fire exposure because of this. And this goes hand in hand with our Ascendancy because it also buffs the exposure quite a bit. And here we take Leash of the Primordial, that's why we can have all of the columns. That's basically the Ascendancy. Okay. The boots. Avoid being shocked. Classic. You know how I like this. With the Storm Shroud, this is 100% increase chance to avoid being shocked, which means when we apply the Storm Shroud, we're immune to all ailments. I'm not sure where I put it. Here, yeah. Some reduced effect of curses as well. And then, of course, movement speed as much as possible, some chaos res, and other resistances. That's it. That's all the gear. The flasks, immunity to bleeding, you know, immunity to bleeding. Ideally, you want all of them to be either immunity to bleeding or hinder and maim to remove that. And these are the best ones. The skill tree, just a little bit talking about it. It's the large cluster juice with Call to the Slaughter. You want to have Call to the Slaughter on these large ones. You can see I have it on the both of them. Because this increases the movement speed quite a bit of your skulls. If you want them to be as responsive as mine and go where you want them quickly as possible, you need these modifiers. And then, of course, the medium ones are just going to be for as much maximum life as possible. The other modifiers, you want them to be the 35% increased effect. Doesn't need to be anything crazy, but you need the 35% increased effect. I got some chaos res, some attributes, you know, all the goodies. You can even have all LE res. That's very good. Make sure that you can take the maximum specters and all of the modifiers for increased medium life, and I think that's about it. Yeah, minion instability, of course. You go here for minion instability, and for your mana issues, you take Eldritch Battery. This Caster Mastery you want to take so you have some responsiveness on the build and extra seal. And these are some of the crit nodes that I talked about. So yeah. Oh yeah, and of course, I almost forgot the Forbidden Flame and Flash. So this one, Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flash, they allocate Mindless Aggression. Of course, this is one of the most important ones. And this is from the Necromancer 3. I cannot show you here because, well, I'm not a necromancer. But it grants, I think, 10% more life on your minions and 20% damage, I think, something like that. Or maybe it's vice versa. But you need that one anointed. And it's super cheap, don't worry about it. It's like 50 chaos each, so easy peasy, you know, you don't care. All in all, a very, I would say, easy build to make, very cheap. You don't need to expend too much money. Of course, I have some items that are kind of crazy. For example, this one is unholy, of course, but as I said, even if you remove like two modifiers here, you're going to be absolutely fine. Like the movement speed is not really necessary. Even if the life is much worse, it's not a problem. You know, ideally you just get the attributes, the minion max life, and non channeling. That's the important stuff. But yeah, that's the build. I hope you liked it. Next up, we're going to be going for the Monk PoE 2. We're going to be playing PoE 2 quite a bit. Hopefully, maybe I even start streaming some days. We'll see. And yeah, hope to see you guys there maybe. And I hope you'll enjoy the next build that I make, this time for PoE 2. Thank you for watching. If you like this, consider liking and subscribing. See you. Peace.